Good afternoon, South Mississippi. Meteorologist Taylor Graham here, joining you from the newsroom on this rainy Tuesday. Haven't seen anything too heavy, no flooding issues reported. We've just had a nice steady rain for many of us this afternoon, and at least that has kept our temperatures down quite a bit. Maybe a bit of a gloomy Tuesday, but every now and then during the summer you need that. At least the heat is not very intense. So let's take a look at first alert radar, where we are still seeing some of those showers. Nothing too heavy at this time as far as I can tell. We're left with some steady light rainfall in parts of Jackson County, mainly in the western part of the county. Still seeing some of that light rain in Biloxi, up near Socher. We've also got a few of those light scattered showers. It does look like some of that rain is dissipating just a little bit, and as we head into the evening, our rain chances are going to be a little bit lower. I'm still not going to rule out a few lingering showers here or there this evening, but I don't expect widespread rain later today. There still could be a few heavy downpours here or there. Not ruling that out either, but for the most part, we've just seen some steady rainfall. And along with the rain, we've also had a good bit of cloud cover today. Looks like we're still seeing a lot of that cloud cover over the sound. This is our Hancock, Windy Bank, Tower Cam, and Gulfport. Thanks to the rain, we are sitting at a nice 78. Of course, it's still humid outside, but at least the heat is very manageable for this time of the year. Not even seeing much of a heat index because our temperatures are only in the upper 70s for the most part. Now, where we've had less rainfall, we are more so in the 80s. Unfortunately, it looks like we are having a little bit of a data outage for the time being. I'll have to check in on that. We've lost our connection, but we've got a few spots reporting in. 78 Gulfport, 79 over at Keesler Air Force Base, where you see a little bit more of that orangey color. I'd say it's safe to say those areas are seeing temperatures more so in the 80s. So a wider image shows quite a bit of rainfall across the Gulf Coast this afternoon. We're seeing widely scattered showers, a few thunderstorms here or there, and we actually have a disturbance, or what we call a surface trough. This is also a wave that is moving to the north and west, moving up along the northern Gulf Coast. There is really no chance of this becoming any sort of tropical depression at this point, so you can rest easy on that. But this disturbance has brought in with it plenty of some moisture, so some spots along the Gulf Coast may be able to see some localized flooding. Although based off of the looks of what I'm seeing on first alert radar, some of the rain has weakened, so that is some good news. The Weather Prediction Center still has parts of Jackson County, coastal Alabama, and the Florida Panhandle highlighted for a slight risk of flash flooding today. Again, widespread flooding issues at this time not anticipated, but because we are seeing some tropical moisture on top of us, we can't completely rule out a few heavy downpours in the mix. Like I said, though, as we get into the evening, it looks like our rain chances are going to be decreasing a little bit more. We'll keep some of those clouds in place. That will help to keep our temperatures pretty steady over the next few hours. Temperatures for the most part will stay, it looks like, in the upper 70s, low to mid 80s heading into the evening. Tomorrow, with this system sticking around and with some of that moisture sticking around, we'll keep a decent chance for more of these scattered showers and thunderstorms. I can't guarantee that everyone's going to see rain tomorrow, but some of us may get caught under some of those heavier downpours. Those of us that see more sunshine tomorrow will be able to warm up into the low 90s. Those of us that keep a little more cloud cover in place will only warm up into the mid to upper 80s. It's a bit of a luck of the draw who exactly is going to see that rain. Once we get into the end of the week, our pattern begins to change. Notice rain chances start to decrease by Thursday and Friday. And this weekend, we're not anticipating a ton of rain across the area, more of those typical pop-up showers and thunderstorms. But the reason why our rain chances are going to be lower is because we're going to see a ridge of high pressure settle in across the northern Gulf Coast. That also means it's going to be heating up as we head into the weekend. Nothing too out of the ordinary for South Mississippi, but take advantage of the relatively cooler weather today, because this weekend we are aiming for high temperatures more so in the low to mid 90s on the coast. I wouldn't be surprised if we had some inland areas reaching the upper 90s by this upcoming weekend. Of course, it's going to be humid. It is South Mississippi after all. So when you factor in the high humidity, we're likely going to see the heat index above 100 at times this weekend. Average high for this time of the year is at 91. summer seems to never end here in South Mississippi, and we have a ways to go, very likely, before we see any significant cool down. But at least in the tropics, we don't really have any concerns with development along the Gulf Coast. Now, the National Hurricane Center did highlight that disturbance just to our south in the Gulf, but they really are not expecting any development out of that whatsoever. There is another area highlighted in the northern Atlantic. They only gave it about a 10% chance of developing. What we are a little bit more interested in is Tropical Storm Erin. That is way out there in the Atlantic. And looking at satellite, we can see that low-level swirl. We can see that circulation, but not a lot of convection associated with that. It seems like Erin has had a little bit of a struggle getting its act together earlier today. So it is still expected to become a hurricane by the middle to end of the weekend. It's still forecast to become a major hurricane this weekend, but for the time being, not seeing a ton of development out of this. Now, we are still confident it's not going to be a threat to the Gulf Coast. Forecast models have been in really good agreement that at least throughout the end of the work week, it's going to be moving to the west and northwest across the Atlantic, and then it is expected to curve up to the north and west as it moves around a ridge of high pressure. Now, will this be impacting the east coast of the U.S.? That's a little more in question. Areas along the East Coast will need to pay much closer attention to this as we get into the end of the week and this weekend. Some forecast models keep the ridge a lot weaker, meaning that Erin would be heading out to sea. That's the best case scenario, especially with it becoming a major hurricane. But the east coast of the U.S., eastern seaboard, needs to pay close attention to this over the next several days. Just emphasizing, though, at this time, still does not look like it's going to be entering into the Gulf of Mexico, so that is some good news. So showing you here the GFS model where Erin is going to be moving around the southern part of this ridge of high pressure. As that ridge begins to weaken a little bit more as it retreats to the east, that's going to allow Erin to have a path to curve up to the north and northwest in the western Atlantic. Now, this is just one particular model run, but we've noticed a good bit of consistency between different forecast models and even different model runs of the same model. Anytime we see more consistency, that gives us a little bit more confidence in the forecast. So for the time being, looks like it will be curving up into the western Atlantic by the weekend and into very early next week. But again, I would say those people along the East Coast still need to pay attention to it. So while there are really no threats to the Gulf Coast at this time, we still have a ways to go before the end of hurricane season. We're starting to get into the middle of August where we typically begin to see even more tropical activity. We'll get more of these tropical waves to move off the coast of Africa likely by the end of the month and even into September. So we have a ways to go, but at least we can rest easy for the time being, knowing that really not anticipating any tropical development across the Gulf over the next several days. But today we'll keep that chance for some more scattered showers. Even a few thunderstorms not out of the question. Tomorrow we've got a decent chance for more of that rain. Once we head into the weekend, not as much rain expected. Still could see those summertime pop-up showers and storms, but the coverage of rain is looking lower by Saturday and Sunday. Things are also going to be heating up just in time for the weekend as well. Maybe you already want to make plans to head out to the pool. Looks like it's going to be a great weekend to do that. So time now is 2:41. We will have another forecast update today coming up during our 4 o'clock show. We'll have another update on what we're watching in the tropics with Tropical Storm Erin. And of course, we'll also have the latest news going on here in South Mississippi. So hopefully you can join us later today at 4 o'clock.